Ready.
So, Leanne Crowley, it's nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Can you give everybody a little idea of who you are and what you qualified as?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't want anyone Googling me. I'm too interesting, to be honest.
So your degree was in criminology, wasn't it?
No, my degree was in psychology, and then my master's in criminology.
That's right.
And
How long ago was that?
And then I did a postgrad diploma in youth work.
Ah.
I don't know, really, really long time ago.
It was a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'm 36 now.
Are you that old? My God.
You're older.
Not really.
Yeah, you are.
Not mentally.
Well, no, obviously. You're like a 5-year-old. But in school, you were older than me. So
Well, no, I think I've always been older than you. Not just.
so you're definitely
not
older
just
than me.
Yeah. Definitely older than you.
Yeah.
So, Leanne, one thing I was going to get onto, I was thinking about. See a lot on social media. We've spoken about it briefly before, but not in person. It seems to be like an epidemic of young girls getting pregnant by the men and then the men disappearing. Would you say that, to me, to my social media, it seems like a massive thing? I can't really...
I mean, I don't think it's a new phenomenon.
No.
I think you've always seen that happen. I think that possibly with the increase in, social media, dating apps and things like that, you're probably going to get a slightly higher percentage of possible unplanned pregnancies. But there's always been girls who are more vulnerable, who were going to be at risk of a sort of being taken advantage of. And I don't think that's ever changed. I think that's always been.
So you think it's more a case of...
I think you're just seeing it more now.
Because of
Yeah.
everyone's a publisher and everyone can just do whatever they...
Yeah, definitely. and with Instagram, and they're all posting pictures of their single mother life. And
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? But I do think it puts pressure on people. I don't think it's an easy life. And I don't want to give men a bad name either. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that.
Well, you tend to see it's young girls. So you're 17, 20, 21, and from my experience on social media, the guys seem to be very similar age as well. So it's kids with kids.
Yeah.
Really.
But if you think back to our parents' generation, being 18, 19, getting pregnant that was pretty normal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like my parents were 19 and 20.
Yeah, I think my mother was 20.
Do you know what I mean? So when we see 17-year-olds, I think we've put off having children, our generation, till later. And we see then 17-year-olds getting pregnant and we're like, oh, children having children. But actually, a woman is fertile from, probably younger, but let's say ideally 18 to 28, and then you start saying, oh, you should probably start thinking about if you're going to have a baby. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's never easy to have a child in your teens, especially if I think under 16. But it's easy to think with social media that is happening everywhere. And I'm not 100% sure that it is. I just think we see it more.
Yeah. I know for a while that Port Talbot was one of the top areas in the UK for teen pregnancies. So I think he even held the record. It was number one. So you look at Port Talbot, the demographics of the town, high unemployment. The main employer employing a massive percentage was the Steelworks, which at its peak employed 30,000 and now it employs 3. And that's getting mothballed, really. I think they intend to move production to the developing world because it's cheaper, it's just simple economics. So I think there's definitely a correlation between mean income, household income, and tendency to have children young.
Yeah.
I mean, when I lived in London, so I lived in near Richmond, Kingston area, so it was like the affluent side, sort of West London.
How did you get in that?
Oh, just my grandmother bought a house in 1971, and it was
Yeah.
just what houses
Normal,
cost, like
yeah.
same price as a house here.
Yeah.
You know, the whole house thing went crazy then.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you drive past a school at school closing time, and they're women in their 40s, clearly women in their late 30s, 40s picking up the kids. In this city, in Swansea, the other day I was in Morriston. There's a Weatherspoon pub and the Red Lion, and the car park is the car park for the school as well.
Right.
And, you know, there's young girls in their pyjamas picking up their kids. It's just a different world, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a whole different world. But I just, you know...
I'm laughing because I don't know why anybody wears pajamas
I know, it's
outside the
bizarre.
house.
It's
But
bizarre.
I mean,
I heard from a friend that in Liverpool, at one point, this would have probably been 5 or 6 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, it was a sign of the dad being gone, being single. So women would young girls would pick up their kids from school in pajamas as an outward sign that the kids don't have a dad. And it took off. It became a thing. So if you went to the school to drop your kids off and you were clothed in normal day clothes, you're with somebody. I just don't get... It's just bizarre, isn't it, to think that was a thing. But
now, was that before you had Facebook where you just used to put single as your status?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was probably... what are we on now, age-wise, for Facebook? Was it about 2006, something like that?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's about 12, 13 years, is it?
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, I just don't know what I don't know... The shift in population in the UK, you've got a lot of people come here, not great numbers like have been going to Germany and things with the refugee crisis, but a lot of people do come here, and you tend to read reports that foreign families still have more children.
Yeah.
So you've got a big Polish community in the UK, you've got Romanian communities, Latvia, Lithuania, the sort of like old Russian Soviet Union countries, and they're having more children. And I don't know whether that's propping up the average births, whether they're recorded, but per family.
And also you got like Bangladeshi families have big families, you know.
Yeah.
So there's, you know, we've got a big Bangladeshi community, especially in Swansea. So yeah, maybe they are propping up the
numbers of
the
children.
numbers. But again, like I said, it's hard to know what the stats are. I think that because we're of an age where we're in our 30s, when we see, if we'd have been at the time of our parents and in our 30s, we'd be looking at them and they'd be 18, 19.
Yeah.
But they still raised.
Yeah.
I don't know about...
I mean, the other thing, when you try and compare, let's say, people in the 70s who were having children, is the breakdown of families I'm almost sure wasn't to the same degree that it is now. 1 in 3 marriages end in divorce in the UK. I think it's even gone a little bit higher.
Yeah.
So the family unit was more traditional. So you'd have more mothers would tend to stay at home and fathers would...
One wage would support the house, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So a mum could stay at home if she wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, the 70s, you know, my nan was working, and she worked in the post office, so she was one of the main breadwinners actually. But yeah, a woman could stay at home, and now, if you speak to a lot of working mums, they might say they haven't really got a choice.
Yeah.
And actually, they're caught between a rock and a hard place because childcare costs are massive. So they feel like they're going to work for nothing because they're not bringing much in and they're paying for somebody to look after their
Well, I did
child.
the maths on it. So I got 1. And for her to go full-time from 2 is about £1,000, just under £1,000. So in my field of work...
A month. Yeah.
In my field of work, the average pay is around £1,500.
Yeah.
So that's 2/3 of all the work I put in goes to just somebody. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But then with the breakdown of the traditional families as well, you've got... So in my case, I only have my mother to help with the baby, and she's got to work full time.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's so difficult to to see what the solution is, because the state helps, but there's obviously the question then, is the state propping up a system that's broken, basically subsidising you having a baby, where that person would be certainly more productive if they were working and paying in rather than paying for children. So if you look at the Scandinavian models, childcare is free.
Yeah,
it's that simple.
Yeah.
You just don't pay.
Yeah.
So, I just
because most people want to go back to work. If you speak to them, they do like their work.
Yeah.
Not everyone, but a lot of people do. But like you said, the free childcare in Wales is not till after they're 3.
Yeah.
And
so
then it's
my daughter gets 2 hours.
So it's only 33 hours, and they count your school place as part of that. So your half-day schooling is counted as that.
Right.
So then you're actually left with, say, I think it's about 15 hours that you can use for nursery or wrap around childcare, which actually works out to something like 2.5 days. So you still can't get a full.
The problem is
full week.
Yeah, no, the 2.5 days as well is split over 5 days.
Yeah.
So, for example, my girl goes to school 11 till 1.
Yeah.
What the hell can I work if she's...
But even if you think a full day, 8:30 till 3 or 10 to 3, there's not that many jobs apart from a teaching assistant or a dinner lady or something in school where you'd be able to work. What employer's going to say, I'm only opening my shop 9 till 3. A lot of people are struggling with that side. And because there seems to be, we all know there was a push to move away. There was a generation, our parents, where it was like, move away from home, move away from your family, go and achieve your dreams. But actually, your wider circle of support diminished.
Yeah.
So now you've got these nucleus of people just alone, which might be why people are divorcing. If you think back when, generation ago, if you were annoyed at your husband, you'd go and have a cup of tea with your mum. But if you've moved to London, you're on your own.
Yeah.
So
even within this city.
Yeah.
So when I bought a house, 2006-ish, something like that, 2007, the area that I grew up in was near a new development, so down the marina. So I grew up in Portenant. So the marina was redeveloped. Yes. It was the old docks that was redeveloped, and it pushed the house prices up in that
massively
area of the city. So what that meant was exactly what you're saying is when I was in the position to buy a house, I was priced out of where I grew up.
Yeah.
So I had aunties and uncles and women who lived next door to me, who I consider aunties and uncles and women and men. And if I was there now and I needed to pop out for a couple of hours, I could easily drop the baby there. So I had to move to an area 7 or 8 miles away. Yeah. And I didn't know anybody. Yeah. And it's just, it's a dislocation.
Yeah. You used to have families that lived on the same street.
Yeah.
And I've worked with families who still live on the same street. They tend to be of the poorer sort of class. But there is a lot of support. So whilst they might be struggling for money, they've got quite a lot of family support or neighbours. They know the area. And actually that's quite nice. And where I moved to be close to my auntie and uncle at the time, my parents. And then my sister was down the road and she's only moved about 10, 15 minutes away. So I feel like I've got people. Yeah. I feel like I've got someone, if I need, I can walk to my auntie and uncles, I can walk to my brothers. Don't even need a car. And there's something nice about that, that definitely. You don't have to get in your car and drive somewhere. But I feel like there's a lot of, even though there's been that rise of social media, I think a lot of people, if you ask them, I think there was a study that said a lot of people actually feel really lonely, and it's not the elderly, it's our age and younger who are just feeling really, because a friend on Facebook isn't I don't know anyone on Facebook. I don't know any of the people on there. Yeah, you're not gonna. Who would you ring? Would you ring a Facebook friend at 1 a.m. if you were in a crisis?
Insane. Be insane, wouldn't it? I mean, I know maybe I think I've got, because of what I do. Yes. I've got a lot of friends. I've got a lot of people contacts on Facebook. Yeah. So it's maybe 4,500 right on my Facebook. I know 60 people. Yeah. I talk to 4 people. It's completely disconnected. There have been a few friends who've moved on into being an actual friend, but out of 4,500, I'm talking of maybe 2 people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a strange. What have we got up there, Sam?
It's a report from the BBC from April of last year, and researchers found that almost 10% of people aged between 16 to 24 are often lonely, the highest proportion of any age group.
God, so higher than
the elderly, who, let's be honest, half their friends are dead.
Yeah.
Maybe their spouses.
Yeah.
So, that loneliness is massive.
It was 3 times higher than people aged 65 and over.
So there is a massive problem with loneliness. And I think it's because people are looking at things on Facebook and social media and thinking their life is amazing. They're out with their friends all the time, and actually it's a snapshot. Other people could be sitting at home going, I'm really lonely, but I went out once and I put a picture on Facebook.
Yeah. I was talking to Simon about this yesterday, about the whole social media thing and the way you portray yourself. So we were talking about photographs. So upload a photograph. Yeah. Do you follow me on Instagram?
Yeah, maybe.
But you don't use it much?
I don't use it, yeah. I don't really understand it.
Yeah, I don't understand Twitter. You're on Twitter?
I'm on Twitter, but I don't, again...
this is a learning opportunity. I think we're destined to...
Snapchat is ridiculous. I don't know how that works.
It's just bonkers. So, yeah. So what we were discussing was if I upload a photograph, so I'll take the summer, for example. So I train bodybuilding training. So in the summer, I look a lot different to how I look in the winter. So in the winter, I'm untanned, unshaved,
right,
and I'm carrying more weight.
I feel like that's every woman ever.
Yeah. So I become a middle-aged woman.
Basically, yeah.
During the winter.
Yeah.
In the summer, I look very different. So what I noticed myself doing, and I had to stop myself, was I'd upload photographs of me 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself,
that's not what I look like.
That's not what I look like now at all. So what I did, I made a conscious effort to, if I uploaded any photograph that was significantly far enough back in time, so 6 months, say 3 months back, that I'd make people aware that was at this date. Yeah. Because
I don't look like that now.
No, that whole idea that you can look a certain way is perpetuated by these celebrities on Instagram and Facebook who people follow. Yeah. And what they do, they will train through the summer to get to a certain physique. Then they will take thousands of photographs at a coffee shop or in a bar or in the gym, and they'll change. I've seen them. They'll have a bag of clothes. No. And they'll change clothes. Yeah, it's horrific.
Seriously.
Yeah, so it looks...
They'll go into a coffee shop in one outfit, go to the toilet.
Change. Come back. So what they do then is they spread the photographs of maybe one day out through the rest of the year. So it's just not real. And it's not right. It's not right.
I mean, imagine you worked in that coffee shop and you just saw someone keep going into the toilets.
They're doing lines of coke in the toilet.
They're just taking photos of themselves in different outfits.
Well, some of them have got professional photographers there as well, so they're just following them around. So,
but are they famous then, or are they just?
Yeah, you're talking people with, say, Instagram, for example, 80,000 followers, 100,000 followers. If you've got a few million followers on Instagram, you take one photograph and upload it, you might make £7,000, £8,000, £9,000, £10,000 by taking one photograph.
Oh my God!
So what you're going to do? You're going to take a photograph of you looking white and hairy. Most women don't look white and hairy. Or you're going to pull up a photograph that you had professionally taken 6 months ago. Yeah. Because that's going to get more likes and get more traffic. Yeah. The whole thing is skewed.
Did you watch that Fire Festival documentary?
No, I didn't see it.
I saw it.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. So
Where is it? Where can we find it?
You can see it on
YouTube.
It's on Netflix.
It is.
It's on Netflix. Watch it, because this bloke who's just been hustling all his life, even his business that took off, if you asked him what it was basically a metal credit card. It was called Magnesis. And I'm not 100% sure what the business plan was, but it took off because people wanted a black metal credit card. And he rented out a penthouse apartment that you were, if you joined that credit card, you had access to that penthouse for networking. And then he decided that they were going to do a festival, Fire Festival, and they paid someone like Kendall Jenner maybe you could check how much she was paid. She was paid, was it 250,000 for one Instagram post?
Kendall Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner.
Kendall, I think it was.
Right.
For Fire Festival, 250,000.
It's just numbers though. So if they're going to generate X amount of revenue, then it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. So all these models like Bella Hadid, all these influencers all posted an orange tile at the same time, and that was Fire Festival. It was an absolute shitstorm. Like, they did not put, like, the festival on. They hadn't. So all these people then were all these rich people, I suppose. It was meant to be an exclusive festival. And you were meant to stay in luxury apartments, hotels, luxury glamping.
Yeah.
And all he had was leftover hurricane shelter.
What?
For people with no food and no drink.
Wealthy people turn up in Bentleys and
like they said they were having a private chartered plane over. They came over in like a Coke can stuffed with everybody in it, and it all went pear-shaped. And he hadn't even.
Were there any repercussions for the guy then?
He's gone to prison.
He's in prison.
Yeah.
See, I just thought nothing would happen.
For fraud, because but if you watch the documentary, you can see he was like telling people, he was, I don't know the ins and outs, but he was saying his business was worth more, saying the festival was worth more, saying they booked certain artists they hadn't.
See, one guy who did all that became president. So maybe he was thinking,
well, I mean,
it's worth trying.
I mean, let's just go. I think he just thought, let's just go with it. Like, once they're here, they can't leave, so they'll enjoy. But then he didn't have any artists, and he gave people something. But the sad thing was, the horrible thing was, there were people on that island
who'd saved like shit to get money to pay.
Who were working for him, deckhands or whatever, like lifting, cleaning, tidying, didn't get paid.
Oh my God.
So that's the. I mean, you can sort of laugh at the people who've got enough money to lose, but those people on that island and contractors didn't get paid.
Yeah.
One woman had put all her savings into paying her cleaners, and she was quite old, and so she has to continue working for like another 10 years instead of
God.
All his. One bloke who was working for him as his media consultant, he ran up debts on his own personal credit card for him, and like. God. Do you know what I mean? It was stuff like that. And even after that, what he got actually in prison for was after it, when he was out on bail, he got a young boy who was like 23 to be the face of another company, but he was behind it, took the email from all the Fire Festival, started emailing that list of people, tickets to places like Victoria's Secret.
Don't say loads turned up.
People bought them.
Oh my God. Tickets
for the Met Gala ball, which is invite only. People were buying off him, and so eventually, I think he's in a federal prison for.
Got rumbled.
Yeah, but
That's
I mean,
insane,
isn't that? So that's what I'm saying about influencers. Like, do you think there should be some kind of? Should they look into what they're promoting? So she took that money.
I know Instagram changed its terms of service, I think it was, where if you were advertising any product, you had to mention that this
is a paid.
This is a paid thing. And I think YouTube does it as well.
Yeah.
But I don't think YouTube enforces it so much.
Yeah.
You see guys, there's a guy who reviews tech stuff, and I watch some of his videos, and in the background there'll be like 6 boxes of cereal stacked on top of each other. Just there in the background, yeah, he's giving the eye, like, oh, I'm hungry. What do you fancy?
Snack.
But yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Should there be an onus on the person who's being paid £250,000 for you know, promoting this festival. She didn't know anything about it. She didn't know anything about the running of it and how ethical it was. She was happy to take the money. She got paid, but those other people didn't.
Simon's pulled up something there. There's an official guide for social media influencers posting adverts. When was it? 2018, September 28th. Yeah, so it's basically saying that it's probably not, have a read, Simon, it's probably not a legal binding thing, though, is it? It's probably companies opt out or in.
Yeah, or they'll be like, close their Instagram account.
I'm pretty sure it was some sort of ombudsman. It was on the news about 3 or 4 weeks ago how under UK law, it's in direct conflict of interest because you're advertising something on your on your feed. There was another point which has kind of escaped me, but it stems a little bit further because it sort of goes over into, are they actually paying their full amount of, are they declaring their earnings and taxes and whatnot? I think that was another part of it.
All right.
Crazy. Did you see the guy? There was one guy, I think he might be Instagram famous or YouTube famous. He's American, if I remember rightly. I think he does makeup tutorials. He's a guy.
Oh, and he opened that
in Birmingham. Just like 20,000 people or something saying.
More, I think.
Just showed up.
And they weren't prepared for it.
Roads were closed. It's just fucked up. That's fucked up. That's mental. But
I mean, he's really good at makeup, mind. Like, he's really good.
Well, fuck the roads then. You know, ambulances couldn't get through.
No,
Don't have a heart attack that day.
No. But what I'm saying is, you can't be annoyed that some people want to follow somebody who he has got a talent.
Yeah.
And he isn't promoting anything that's illegal or damaging.
Yeah.
But then you have got people who are willingly promoting, maybe they're promoting diet pills.
Yeah,
which,
that's the big,
do you know what I mean?
thing, isn't it?
Maybe they're saying that they're naturally thin, but they're not, you know, or maybe they're saying they're naturally massive, but they're taking stuff.
Looking at that, have you seen, I've noticed an increase very recently of people on Facebook, especially Facebook, who are getting involved in the mass media marketing companies.
Oh, probably.
So, years ago, it was like selling cleaning products, but now it seems to be
Tupperware.
Yeah, but now it seems to be makeup seems to be a big thing.
Well, we've always had Avon.
Yeah, but the difference.
Body shop. Is it body?
You mean catalogue-based things?
Yeah.
I mean,
or little parties, and you'd go and order your stuff from the body shop party and things like that.
I think it's more nefarious now. So you've got.
Oh, so you know, are you on about when they do a video for a hairdo, and then they're like, oh, and I use
X.
I use
and
this.
They spent 3 hours in the salon having a 200 quid haircut. But what people don't seem to grasp, a few people have messaged me saying, would you be interested in Herbalife? Is probably one of the biggest ones. But there's a company called
the aloe vera.
Yeah, that, and I'm sure somebody messaged me about something to do with that. But there's a company called Unique or Yonique, something like that. You pronounce it, and they sell like teeth whitening stuff and tan creams. But the strange thing is, a few people have messaged me, and I've replied, with, I basically said this company. If you Google the company, open a new window and Google the company. It's just horrific. Like, this company doesn't pay UK tax. And they're based in, that Unique one was based in, where are the Mormons in America? It's, Utah. So they're based in Utah, and it's the only state that will allow that company to trade. All the other states have banned.
Well, that says something in America. I mean.
But the strange thing is, you say that to somebody, so Jane, 22 from Essex, has messaged me. They give us an answer that is a standardised answer. Yeah. And that works for other mass media companies. There's a standardised answer. And it tends to always be, you're trying to put out my fire kind of answer.
Oh, yeah.
So
you're a hater.
Yeah. You don't want me to succeed.
You just hate people being successful.
It's crazy.
So it's gaslighting, it's straw man, it's all those things that, because you're not saying I don't want you to succeed. What you're saying is, I don't want to
Google
promote
the company.
I don't want to
Google.
promote that company.
Yeah.
And really, you should question yourself for doing it.
Yeah. Because what they don't seem to understand, what I always try and put across is, yeah, that's it there. I put across that I say, what the company, does it push the products or does it push you to recruit people? What
Which
do they
one
do
is
more?
it? Yeah.
And it's always, they will say it's the products. But it's not.
No,
You spend 90% of your time trying to recruit people, and they buy the gold, silver, or bronze package, which is £375, £475, or £575. And the company that isn't interested in you selling any of the stuff, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Because they've recruited somebody who's going to recruit 5 people.
Yeah.
And they've taken their £475 if you bought the gold package.
Yeah.
Boom, next. They don't seem to understand that
The product is nothing.
the product is irrelevant. There could be no product, and this company would still be able to trade because people would still recruit, and it just blows my mind.
Yeah. If it sounds too good to be true, it is.
100% of the time, yeah.
And, you know, we're all... And I think the problem is a lot of people are on the bones of their ass.
Yeah.
And...
Well, you're a young girl. You had a baby young.
Yeah.
You left school early.
Yeah.
And somebody says to you,
Do
you
you
can
want
make
to work from
£7,500 a month sitting in your house on your computer. You know, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's a no-brainer for lots of people. They just do it.
Yeah, and, you know, in that sense, you can understand. But then, you know, you have to... For me, maybe I'm more able to have that discussion with myself because I did go to school and I got a certain level of education, so I've got the luxury of questioning my morals. If I was on the bones of my ass, I don't know what I'd be selling. You don't know, do you?
Yeah.
But then you have got celebrities who are not
Well, that's the issue.
on the bones of their ass.
Herbalife.
You know.
Ronaldo is a guy who's an ambassador for the company. Now,
He doesn't need it.
No, but to all intents and purposes, he seems like a lovely guy. He does a lot for charity.
Yeah.
He's just so clever, the model that they're using.
Yeah.
They don't... If Ronaldo asks for $20 million, that's worth it because
Yeah.
you're fucking Ronaldo.
Yeah.
People are going to buy it on the
They're
strength
gonna
of who
look
you
at
are.
it. Yeah. Yeah. But people are targeting kids now. So did you hear about that? It's an online, you video yourself opening a mystery box. So
I've seen
you
something
pay
like this.
you pay for it. So what they did though is they showed a video of a bloke opening a box, and it was like an Xbox One or, you know, a PlayStation 4, something that the kids want. And then a kid, oh my God, he was on the news. He spent all his birthday money on this mystery box. He opened it. Slime. And he was only 12. Why am I laughing?
I don't know why you're laughing. I don't know why you're laughing. It is funny. It is funny.
He spent all his money and he got a box of slime. I mean, so he was on the news and the woman was like, tell us what happened. And
I've
he's
got a 3-year-old. Slime stains things. So there's even after repercussions to having slime. It's not the horrificness of just... the curtains are fucked. His curtains are fucked in his house. His crushed grey velvet curtains are wrecked.
I mean, he was sitting there and the woman was just like, and what was in the box? Slime, and I could have got it for £5, you know, like,
Yeah.
and he's paid all this money thinking he would get an Xbox One. So don't tell me that wasn't targeted at teenagers, because you and I would be like, I'm going to get slime. Definitely, I'm going to end up with slime. I'm not going to buy that box or spend all my money on it. But it was advertised by a YouTuber called Morgs or something, who's like, he's quite
Big
annoying.
following.
Yeah.
Of younger kids, more likely.
Younger kids. And then he did that, and then he came out with a statement saying, I didn't think about it, that it was more like gambling and that a kid would, do you know what I mean? But you still did it. You still took money from it. Do you know what I mean? And that's when I feel like if you don't need the money and you're not desperate, you really shouldn't be promoting anything. You know, you've got these ones, the only way is Essex, you know, promoting Herbalife or skinny coffee. I've seen that loads.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, if I just drink coffee, I'll be skinny.
Yeah. But it goes back to education, doesn't it? You know, like, at a certain... There's an old saying that education is the silver bullet. It solves everything. Yeah. Poverty, crime, Everything.
And it's
can be
education in anything. So it doesn't have to be you sit down and do formal education like I did or you did. It can be informal education, skills.
Well, the Scandinavians, they have forest schools. Have you seen these? I think it's up to 11.
Yeah.
No maths, no language.
Just
all you do is you go into the forest.
Your work in the land.
Yeah, and you play and you build things and you grow.
Yeah.
Their scores in tests then in later life far exceed ours.
Yeah.
So the whole idea of just the standardized education doesn't really hold water anymore.
I mean, I honestly don't know why I learned Pythagoras' theorem. Sorry.
No.
I've never...
It's because our teachers told us that you're not going to be walking around with a calculator in your pocket, which we all are. So, yeah.
That's true.
Completely full of shit. Mr. Jones.
You'll never have a calculator on you, and you're like, okay, I want, or some kind of ruler or protractor either. Do you know?
Camera. I saw somebody in IKEA the other day. They got an app on your phone that measures stuff. They're just measuring shit with the phone. Like,
and a level.
Yeah,
it can be a level.
Yeah, the level. Yeah.
So you were all wrong, teachers.
Absolutely.
I'm absolutely walking around with a toolkit in my pocket. But how often do I feel like we all could have done with more skills on working out interest rates, working out a good deal in your bank. Those skills, of course. Yeah. But sitting down learning. Did I just hear your dog?
The dog sneezed.
Sitting down learning those type of things.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if it was. Whereas, like you said, in the Scandinavian countries, when they put in a lot of emphasis on skills, whereas here, if you put emphasis on skills, it somehow seems less than.
Yeah.
It seems like, oh, he's not good at maths, let's push him down that route, and it's somehow seen as lower than, and it really isn't, because you look today, I'm sure builders are probably on more than me. Yeah, let's be honest. So, or nurses even.
Yeah.
If do you know, not everybody. So I think there needs to be a change in attitude towards education as well. Learning a skill shouldn't be less than or deemed lower than sitting down and doing your academic work.
Yeah, 100%.
That would be a nice change, really.
I think also the other thing that is a slight flip on that is you tend to find quite a lot of people who do manual tasks don't see the value in academia as well. Yeah,
100%. It'd be nice if you could see some respect for all, really. People can, say to me, as they do on Facebook, because, they're warriors behind the keyboard, it's easy for you academics. And it's like, I do have something to give to the world, just like you do. And often get called a do-gooder,
You are a do-gooder.
I mean, but it's not...
You saved a dog recently, Leanne.
I mean, it's not a hurtful thing to say, though, is it?
No, not at all.
It's said in a hurtful way, which is weird.
Imagine everyone was a do-gooder. I wouldn't mind living in that world for a little while. Do you mean if everybody thought, okay, I'll help myself today, and I'll help one other person, see how that goes.
Yeah, I'll pay it forward.
Yeah. So let's have a chat, right? I'm interested to know what you're thinking about. So we're on the 11th of February, I think.
Yeah.
It's 11th today, isn't it? 2019. So we're about 50 days away from Brexit, just under, I think, maybe 49 days.
Yeah.
What
Didn't she postpone it? Have she postponed it?
I don't know. Simon?
Jamie.
Not Jamie.
Not Jamie.
Where are we on Brexit? Is the word postponed coming?
Theresa May rejects Brexit customs union compromise. Watch news. Brexit is overshadowing the economy.
No, it hasn't been postponed.
Oh, okay.
No, so yeah, what are you thinking? What are you thinking in terms of like your job, repercussions for children's services, and have there been any discussions about?
Well, there already are. I mean, Swansea Council has to save, I don't know, something like 20 million. In the next couple of years, and for them to say that they have protected frontline services, to a certain degree, they have. But let's be honest, the trend is lower numbers coming through to social services, lower numbers coming through to
referrals,
lower referrals. But the need is higher, so I don't buy that those numbers are true. I just think the thresholds are raised.
Yeah.
So you'll have a lot of invisible people slipping through the net. And I think if you spoke to any social worker or like myself, we know that there are people out there that we are not seeing that need us.
One I noticed in my field of work is someone gets a referral to whatever service.
Yeah.
Say they don't turn up
Yeah.
once or twice.
Yeah.
Off the books.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Yeah, start again.
Yeah. So they're no longer in the numbers then. So that's a tick for you.
Yeah.
So you've got a tendency of seeing people who have got a backlog, who have got a big caseload.
Yeah.
Of like, you know, if Judith doesn't show up in the next
she's
hour,
out.
she's out. You've
She's
given
out.
her 2 strikes.
Yeah.
But there's so many reasons why people are.
Yeah.
You look at, you know, you're talking about
Well,
people
you're
with
already
drug and alcohol issues,
yeah,
with
mental health.
mental health. You know, they're leading incredibly chaotic lives.
Yeah.
And
the onus seems to be on them rather than through pressure, you know, through pressure to drive numbers down. But the onus has been put onto the service user rather than society to go, oh, do you know what, this person, shall I just do a home visit and check?
yeah,
They're okay.
you say that to some managers and they're like, no.
Yeah.
This
They didn't
is
turn up.
the way that it works.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're thinking, she spoke to me last week about she has no money, she doesn't have a bus pass.
Yeah.
She lives 80 miles from here,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever crazy thing she
Yeah.
has to do to get you.
Yeah.
You look, you know.
I remember ringing before a GP for a lady, and she was agoraphobic and she couldn't come out of her house, and she was on a really, like, the husband was saying, like, oh, I had to physically restrain her. So you start thinking, oh, safeguarding, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
So I rang a GP who referred her, like you said, 50 miles away.
Yeah.
And I was like, how is she gonna
She has
get
trouble
there?
going into the garden.
Yeah.
And
So then I called social services, and she didn't hit the mental health criteria because she hadn't been sectioned and she wasn't diagnosed with certain disorders. So I think it was paranoid schizophrenia or bipolar.
Top end mental
Top
health.
end. So they couldn't pick her up. I phoned aged concern. She didn't quite hit the age. So it was like, I'd done all these phone calls and
Perfect slipping through the...
absolutely slipped through the net. And you go home and you think, is she going to be there tomorrow? Do you know, that's the panic when you... you know, when you see where they're slipping through the net, and actually with intense support, you can see people thrive. And if you don't give it and you put all the onus on a person who's struggling to make amends, they're not going to be able to do it.
A good saying, is not everyone can pull themselves up by the bootstraps.
No.
Some people can.
Yeah.
Not everyone can. No. And the state is meant to be the safety net that cushions you when you are in the shit, when you're at your lowest.
Yeah.
That the welfare state, that was its entire purpose, not to have people in crippling poverty.
Yeah. But, you know, I think if you look at the homeless today, I mean, I went
We're
to
about
Cardiff.
300,000, I think, now.
I went to Cardiff. I'd never seen so many people just sleeping in tents.
In the streets.
In the street. Yeah. And I was like, I felt like, should I go over and check they're okay? And but everybody was walking past them. Then I was a bit nervous. I had quite a lot of people accost me as well, like asking me, did I have cigarettes? And you could see how it would be frightening. I was walking on my own to a course, and I must have one of those faces. It's like just people coming up.
It's a big bubble that follows you that says, I will help anyone who speaks to me.
Literally.
Yeah.
And then apologise for not being a smoker because I didn't have cigarettes to give them. Sorry. I'm sorry I don't smoke.
Yeah.
And they were all fine. But I remember thinking, oh, I'm a bit nervous. And I've never seen it as bad as it is.
Yeah.
And if anybody who pretends is any different is not living.
Welsh homeless figures revealed. So we've got Housing Charity Shelter says at least 25,937 people experienced homelessness across Wales, which is 3% higher than last year. And Cardiff estimates 4,547 people were homeless during the year.
And it's an estimate.
5,000.
That's an estimate. So I'm pretty sure there's sofa surfers, invisible people, you know, that we're not knowing about. Like I said, you know, the referrals through to social services and places like a PRU or mental health are being driven down so that they can say that the numbers aren't exceeding.
Swansea's up there. That's got 834. So it's 5 times higher in Cardiff than it is in Swansea.
Yeah. So, you know, that's the worry really, is that we're not seeing the full figures. there's pressure to cut. So Swansea and all the councils will say we'll protect certain budgets, but because poverty and deprivation are so high, you actually need more. It's not just protecting the budget that you've got. Yeah. You actually need
Increases
more.
Year on year.
And did you watch a documentary on invisible children?
No.
So it looked at children who were home educated. And to be fair, a lot of home educators went mad about the programme because they felt it was biased towards children.
The school system.
It was biased towards children who had special needs rather than parents who just chose to take their children out to school. So what they were saying was, schools do this, they say, right, they're at risk of permanent exclusion. They know that the special schools have closed their doors because they can't take any more numbers. So what do? You pull a parent in who's nervous and you say, this is going to go on their permanent record. So I suggest to you, you take them off roll.
What, and take them into homeschooling?
And take them into homeschooling.
That's a thing that's happening.
That's a thing. One girl on there had been to...
If there's issues with them not coming in, what the hell do they think is going to happen at home? They're going to dress up as...
Yeah, but they don't want that. You know, the schools can't cope. The doors are closed to special schools.
It doesn't go down as a child not being in education.
No, they're off roll. And there's no register for home educated kids.
I spoke to somebody who was home educated, and I asked them that because every child is guaranteed a place in school in the UK, isn't it? That's the foundation of the system.
Yeah.
And so this person was home educated, and I said, what's the law regarding that? And he said it's very vague. You have to turn up to exams at the time. So this was a few years ago. He was in school.
You don't even have to do that.
That's not even a thing now.
It's not a law because if you think about it, it's not mandatory to sit GCSEs.
It's not, is it?
No, because I work with children with special needs. I'm not going to put them for GCSEs if they're not going to pass.
Yeah, that
just
makes
for the sake of. Do you know, if you think about it, there's no law to set a GCSE and there's no law to say you have to let a teacher or someone from the local council in to check that you're doing
they have no right
the job. They've got no right to enter your house, which a lot of home educators feel like that's really important and they don't want people coming in. And I get that. But then there was that boy who died of malnutrition and scurvy.
No one was checking.
In, I think it was Pembroke. Not that long ago, and he died like in horrid conditions, and nobody had seen him. He wasn't in school. He was invisible. So, for me, the rights of those children who might be at risk of abuse supersedes the right of a parent going, I don't really want you in my house. If your house is fine and you're teaching your kid, I don't know why you wouldn't let somebody in just to go, oh well, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You've chose to take them out to school. Teachers have to go through inspections and testing. You as a parent, you can't just go, I'm going to teach them and then go when nobody's allowed to look at any work that they've done or come into my house.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think you balance it out, don't you? If you feel like you could give your child a better education, which I absolutely am sure some parents feel like that, and whether I agree or disagree is a separate issue, you should still let somebody come in and check.
Yeah. Well, there we go. The report's up there. It says a spokesman for NSPCC talking about that poor boy who died. Every family has the right to choose how to educate a child, and home learning alone is not a risk factor for abuse or neglect. But it's important to ensure that they do not fall off the local services radars. Yeah. And that's all. The key to it.
That's all. It's not saying that that you're taking your child out for nefarious reasons.
Well, my friend who's home educated is a doctor now.
Right. Yeah. So
yeah.
So I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we have a duty of care to every child that's in our, sort of vicinity, and we should know about them. Yeah. And schools shouldn't just be putting pressure on parents to say, well, they're at risk of permanent exclusion, take them out. And I get that because the schools are under pressure to get their results up and to get their attendance up and exclusions down. So if you've got a child who's high exclusions, low attendance.
So they're asking people to voluntarily take them out of school. So they're not getting excluded. So they're not hitting that criteria and reflecting badly on the school. Yeah. A bit like sectioning, you can self-set.
Yeah, it said it in the documentary. They had an ex-headmaster talking on that Dispatch's invisible children last week, and he said yes, it's a tactic used by schools. Yeah. So that's coming from a head teacher. That's not just me saying, "Oh, in my job, I've seen it." That's a head teacher saying,
It's crazy.
We've got so much pressure on us to get the results up. That's what they do. So because you're marked on your exclusions, your attendance.
Yeah, the Eston report came out for the school my child goes to, and it was good, excellent. I think it was 4 criteria that it's marked in, which was great.
But you don't know what they've done in order to get that.
I think lots of it just needs tweaking, doesn't it? It feels like it needs a little tweak rather than paradigm changes. It just, certain things need a little tweak, like the kid who fell through the cracks in Pembrokeshire and ended up sadly dying. Tiny changes could have prevented that. We're not talking about drastic sweeping changes. Somebody going in and out and saying, writing a report,
right?
is everything okay?
We can see there's a register of home educated children. You're on the register.
Yeah.
You'll do a visit every, I don't know, term. So that's only 4 visits a year. And if you see anything as you might do, the difficulty is if they were being abused, those visits are easily missed.
Yeah.
So you need a process and a procedure then to refer on.
You could just have lists that drop into other lists. So 100 people are on the list in the education. 87 of them allow us to visit.
Yeah.
So that immediately would trigger the 13 or whatever onto another list of priority.
Yeah. And that's it, and then the child's life is saved.
Yeah. By creating 2 lists and checking up on
just
them.
Checking. Yeah. So, that's it really. It's a good documentary, The Dispatches, even if it was
I'll have to watch that.
Aimed more at children with SEBD rather than parents who'd opted to take their children out because they felt they could do a better job. And I think that's why they were upset, because there are people who genuinely do sit down and do the work and haven't been pressured to take their child out. They've done it as an option, and the children doing well. So I get they're upset, but so that was that. But going back to Brexit, Martyn, I don't know. What are you thinking?
Well, in terms of like social services kind of way.
Are you thinking about anything with Brexit?
In terms of the impact socially, what worries me is we've taken out another level of checks and balances by rolling it back to us being just UK only. Yeah. An example was the blue flag system on beaches.
Yes.
Okay, you had beaches that the guidelines in the 70s were like, this beach you cannot go in the water. The whole that almost doesn't exist now in the UK because it was not imposed. It was driven by EU.
Yeah.
So, how much of a priority are beaches going to be to a government, possibly Tory government, but even a Labour government, whose budgets are by the very definition of what's going to happen in Brexit are going to be cut. So, we're walking away from, I think it's 300 billion worth of trade. And already we're strapped because of cuts to social services. I just can't see any way it can go except further down. And summer services, I don't even see how the next level down is we close the service. Yeah. That's no longer a service.
Yeah.
And you're talking people are slipping out through the gaps now.
Yeah.
Imagine there's no net. The net's gone.
I do think the net is gone for some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. If you think of the homeless people, where's their net?
Yeah.
There's always going to be homelessness because there are people who will struggle to maintain a tenancy through mental health and all the other issues.
Hard Brexit would shrink Welsh economy up to 10%. That's on the Independent newspaper has said 10%. That's an enormous amount of money, isn't it?
Yeah. And the sad thing is, I think, Wales predominantly voted out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you speak to people who voted out, they haven't changed their mind.
No.
They truly believe that the EU has made their lives worse. But in a way, sometimes you can see why, because they've got nothing. You know, they've got no
Can't get any
jobs.
worse.
Can't get worse for them, can it?
Yeah.
So,
well, a good.
well, I mean, they
people
think
said,
it can't get worse, but
yeah,
yeah.
we'll see on April
Yeah.
1st. People said, I can't remember who said it, and it really struck home. Was they said, in our lifetimes, we can affect very little change. So
Yeah.
we can vote for
Yeah.
a Labour government, centrist generally,
Yeah.
or a Tory government, centrist, leaning towards the right. And that's it. That's
Yeah.
all we can do. Never in a generation has anybody had a chance to say, fuck you. Absolutely fuck you. And we saw it with Brexit. People could say, fuck you, and they did.
Yeah.
And we saw it in America with Trump, you know.
yeah.
There was an opportunity, a
Yeah.
once-in-a-lifetime opportunity
Of going.
to burn everything down, you
Yeah.
know. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm going to vote for this way and see what happens.
Yeah.
And like you say, it's people with the metropolitan areas, so large cities,
Yeah.
they all voted to remain in the EU.
Yeah.
But the people on the outskirts, they
Yeah.
just said, fuck you. They had the chance. They had the
I mean,
opportunity.
they've been
It would never come again.
They've massively been let down by, you know, governments of past as well, and that includes Labour.
Policies within the UK.
I mean, Port Talbot absolutely hate their Labour MP, Kinnock.
Yeah.
And I can see why.
Yeah, the
I'm-
man's an arse.
Yeah, so I vote Labour, I'm in Swansea,
Yeah.
and I would really struggle in Port Talbot.
Yeah.
And I can completely understand why.
Yeah.
The sad thing for me was, and I'm not saying this is all Brexit voters at all, but I just saw a massive green card to overt racist behaviour.
Yeah.
It was so. I understand people voted out for various reasons, like you said. Fuck you. I've got nothing to lose anyway. So, you know, whatever. But then added to that, there was this undertone of racism, really,
Yeah,
that the racists felt they had like people backing them.
Yeah.
When in fact a lot of Brexit voters are not racist.
No.
They've done it for other reasons. But they need to stand up and go, do you know what? I'm not happy about this. You don't say it in my name.
Legitimising.
Yeah, it's not in my name. I'm happy with people of all races coming here. My issue is I don't like the EU stopping the renationalisation of a railway, because
Yeah.
that's what they're worried about. Nothing to do with race.
Yeah.
But then you've got the racists, so like, well, I voted out, so get out. And you're like, I'm not even from Europe.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it doesn't affect me. I'm not going back to somewhere else, you know, because it doesn't affect me.
The one that always kills me is you'll see an Asian guy on the news, or someone from Middle Eastern looking.
Yeah, yeah.
And they'll commit a crime, and you read the thread underneath: deport him. Born in London. His mother and father were born in. Where are we going to? What kind?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to ask just Dubai. You're like, oh, do you mind taking a load of British people who a load of other British people don't want?
They're browner, so
Yeah.
they belong with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I mean, where do you draw the line? So I said myself, you know, do you deport somebody whose great grandfather's Irish? So send them back to Southern Ireland.
Yeah.
Do you know? No.
There tends to be no furore about Kiwis coming here or Australians. You know,
Yeah.
we accept that as
Yeah, that's fine.
whatever, but it's not because of the colour of the skin. It's just, you know,
Yeah.
they're British pretty much, you
Yeah.
know. No, they're fucking not.
They're not.
They're not. They're as foreign as anyone from
Yeah,
Bangladesh.
Anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyone come in from anywhere. You know, Southern Ireland's not. Is that they don't want to be part of Britain, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
Northern Ireland's part of Britain. Southern Ireland isn't. That's the problem with Brexit, with the backstop and
the
all
whole
that,
thing's
isn't it?
chaos, isn't it?
So if you say to somebody, "Would you deport somebody back to Southern Ireland?" and they look at you like you're mental,
Got
and
two
like,
heads.
yeah, but you've just said you deport somebody back to somewhere they've never been.
Yeah.
I mean, the Windrush was ridiculous. I mean, there's people going back there now. I say back. They're not going back. They weren't even.
From there.
Oh, they moved when they were 3.
Yeah.
So at what point do you say you're a British citizen? You've been paying taxes. So if you commit, and they were like, it's fine, it's criminals. It's like, is it fine? You know, some of them might have committed a crime, but they haven't been back to Jamaica since they were 2 when they left. I mean, you're sending them somewhere they don't even know.
Yeah.
For what
It's
reason?
insanity, isn't it?
Well, they shouldn't have broke a law. Okay, you've never broke a law. Let's cards on the table.
Yeah.
Everybody's broke a law. I don't care who you are, whether it was speeding, you know, whatever, parking tickets.
Yeah, we've broken those. Most people break bigger laws than that, don't they? You know, we break bigger laws.
Yeah.
You know, we've all pinched a Snickers down the shop, haven't we? It's just...
Speak for yourself, Martyn. Okay, I'm a helper.
But as a pockets full of Snicker bars drop onto the floor. But it's bonkers.
That's the thing, isn't it? You know, and you trying to help people. But I read a study where it said to win people in an argument, you can't go at them. So
it just entrenches their position.
It actually
no
entrenches.
one who's ever told anyone who's voted Brexit that they're wrong has ever changed their
No.
mind. I will put everything in my ISA down on that. All £18.
Oh, look at you with an ISA.
Yeah. I would put everything on that nobody has been shouted at by someone who voted Remain and has changed their mind.
Yeah.
I fucking wouldn't.
No.
You shout at me,
Yeah, you're more entrenched.
Yeah.
So the sort of little clip I watched, it was like you have to, which sticks in people's throats sometimes, I think.
Chocolate bar thief gets 16 years.
Martyn.
I got to read the details of this a sec. 2 seconds.
It's a while back.
And it's Snickers.
3 strikes and you're out, America.
Oh, God. My great-great-grandfather was Irish. I hope I don't go there. Would they send me there, Leanne? What do you think?
I mean, you know, if you're going to call for deportation of people, I mean, let's just do it.
I think I've got Belgian family quite a way back, and I quite like Belgium.
Yeah, free.
Do you know what I thought about doing? Listen to this, right? And I contacted a friend of mine who is a solicitor lawyer, right?
Solicitor lawyer.
Yeah. So if this video is popular, we'll get a crowdfunder going, okay? So...
Oh, for another one of your projects.
Fuck yeah. April the 1st. So in 50-odd days, right? April the 1st.
Okay, yeah.
Fly me to Gothenburg in Sweden.
Right.
Okay, I land at the airport.
Yeah.
I walk up to the desk.
Just a caveat in that, you don't like flying, so...
Oh, it's worth it, Leanne. I'll sedate myself.
I mean, it's
I'll
going to
bring a
be
doctor
like...
friend and-
It's going to be a submission just to get you on a plane.
It'd be worth watching to see how
Yeah, just for that.
petrified I
Yeah,
am.
yeah.
So I fly to Gothenburg,
Yeah.
land. I walk up to the little police station,
Yeah.
whatever there's there at the airport.
Yeah.
Put my passport on the table. I'd like to apply for asylum. And they would say, they would have to process it to some degree, right? So they would have to. And the main question would be, what's your reason?
Yeah.
I'm an economic migrant from the UK. We've voted ourselves poorer, and I feel like I won't be able to support my family. I'm going to be on the news. I'm going to be on the news for doing that, and I surely... British guy flies the day that we leave the EU to claim asylum inside the EU. I think it'd be genius.
I mean...
Oh, my friend, by the way, little caveat. My lawyer friend said, you'd be on the next plane back. He said they would consider it for all 45 minutes and then just send me home and make me pay for the flight, you know?
Yeah.
But,
yeah. I mean, I can see... That would be funny. I would watch that because I remember you texted me that you were definitely going to fly and then you didn't.
no, I didn't. I bricked it. Do you know what happened?
Yeah, you said the
prices of the flights were like doubling every day. So I was going to
Then
go...
you were just going to turn up at the airport, weren't you?
Well, it was the night before, and I was like...
Yeah, but you could have like most people book in
the
advance.
booking was the hard part. My fear was so intense that I had hypnosis, didn't I? So I had hypnosis, but the hypnosis...
That's it, you paid for hypnosis
Yeah,
and then
man, I
didn't
was
get on
ready.
the flight.
I was ready.
Yeah.
So the hypnosis only dealt with the fear of flying. She didn't talk about booking it. So we didn't...
Why didn't you just get Sandra to book it for you?
It's too complicated. It's like... the way my brain works is complicated.
I could have
you know?
booked it for you.
Oh, that's insane.
What?
My brain...
I mean,
mate.
I couldn't fly with you because I'm scared of flying. So
you need a confident flyer?
Yeah, I need somebody who's going to like hold me.
Hold me like I've never
and
been
look after me.
So what happens when the plane is taxiing then? What's your...
Oh, like I don't want to talk to anybody.
You do the shutdown thing?
Yeah, I just stare out the window and just pray. And I'm not religious, but I mean, what do you do?
Here's what it is. So you just pray to God that you don't believe exists.
That and I think someone told me, because I said, oh, you know, I am scared of that. And when we broke it down, she was like, So
A professional?
no, just somebody.
The lady in the
Just
shop?
a random person. You know, because I like to help people. I assume people like to help me, so I
Right.
just tell them things. No, she was saying, it seems like you understand that you could die in a car, and I said, yeah, but that would be instant, wouldn't it? Let's be honest. You're not travelling for 10 minutes into a brick wall and going, oh my God, I'm gonna die. So she said, oh, it's the
Watch out for the bus swap, bus bang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She said, so it's the anticipation of knowing what's going to end you. And I was like, yeah, I don't really want to know my bullet. I don't want to know what's going to kill me. And I said, on that flight, it might only be 5 minutes, but it's going to be 5 minutes of hell.
Yeah.
You know, where you're like, if you're in a car, something crashes into you.
This isn't helping me in any way.
Am I undoing you?
Throw that in there,
Am
yeah.
I
200 quid's worth of hypnosis, straight in the bin.
I mean,
Aerophobia, the fear of flying.
it's less fear of flying and more fear of knowing what's going to kill me, I think, ultimately, if you break it down.
For me, it was, I know where it came from. When I was 17, I was in I've told you this before, when I was 17, I was in a fairly big-ish car crash.
Yeah.
And I was a passenger, I was in the back, behind the front passenger.
Yeah.
So I had a clear view of the car that was coming towards us. We were coming down a bank, and they were coming down a bank, and it was lashing down. So we could see we were going too fast. He was going too fast.
Both of you go coming towards each other.
Yeah, and the weird thing was, my friend's name was David Davis, so no doubt be watching this. But other driver's name was David Davis.
Shut up.
Yeah, bonkers, isn't there? 2 David Davises.
Yeah.
The guy in the other car, he sort of repositioned his hands, he said. So I think he was driving one hand like that, and then as he could see he was going to crash, he sort of gripped onto the wheel, broke both his thumbs. So his thumbs were the only bit that was around there,
Right.
and as he went forward, both his thumbs
Why are we
disappeared.
laughing?
I don't know. And his head was in the windscreen. So we were all wearing seatbelts. His head was in the windscreen, and as the windscreen cracked, it sort of gripped onto his head, if that makes any sense. You know, it cracks in little squares. It sort of bit into his head. So we got out the car and we came around to see if they were okay, the other guys. So the other guy had put his head through the windscreen, but he was sitting back, sort of blood running down his face. But the driver was sort of in the windscreen, sort of embedded into the windscreen. So we sort of...
What am I laughing for?
I just fucked, didn't I? So we lent him... We were like, fuck, are you right, mate? Yeah, I'm fine. You know, you don't look fine because your head's in the windscreen. So he sort of rocked back. He had to like unstick his head. And you know where it cracked? The windscreen cracks in little squares.
Yeah.
Absolutely fine, his forehead. 2 seconds later, just little squares just all appeared with blood. And then it just starts running down his head. It was just so traumatic. But what I did in my car is, because I could see it for a good distance away,
Yeah.
I braced onto the seat in front where my friend is sitting. So when we hit, I snapped his seat forward. His seat sheared forward like that. So I'd wedged him into the dashboard, basically, because I'm not small. So I kind of, my volume of my body pushing forward, snapped the... Yeah, so things are going to change then in your job. You think Brexit will cause there's inevitable changes.
Yeah. 100%.
What about staff? You know, do you think they'll be cutting staff or cutting services?
Yeah, staff, services. You know, I think everything's a drive to make a cut, even if they don't want to say it. It's, you know, it's a drive to... And, you know, people come into the job like I do to make a difference. But once you get further up into the management, I guess you have to make a decision. And your decision might be, well, I've got to cut this to protect this.
Yeah.
And it's inevitable. And you're naive if you think that frontline services won't be affected just because every council says we're protecting it.
Yeah.
So
I tell you something that always springs to mind is, do you remember the old 70s show, Yes Prime Minister and Yes Minister? Yeah. There was one episode...
I'm not as old as you.
No, you're not, no. There was one episode, right, where there's a civil servant and he's being told by, I think it was the minister, or it might be the Prime Minister one, he's being told by him that you need to make cuts within your department to make savings. So he's like, yes, Minister, I'll make the cuts, yes, we'll put that into action. And the Prime Minister or Minister walks out of the room. They're like, so what are we going to do to make the cuts? And he goes, I'm not cutting anything, I'm not cutting my department. And the rationale was every minister wanted their department to be big or bigger than the other ministers. So it was like a drive to have the biggest department, you know? So, you know, we flipped that around completely now, haven't we? We're looking at ministers having to make savings in their departments or work and pensions, whatever, have to make X amount of savings. And they actually genuinely have to make these savings, you know?
Yeah.
It's just...
And I think it's odd. If you think of MPs, don't you find it weird that, like, they could be, like, Minister for Education and never done anything in education?
Oh, the whole system's bonkers.
Weird. Like, I would never want to be in charge of roads or buildings or pensions. I don't know anything about it.
They say the poison chalice is foreign secretary.
Oh,
so
right.
you're MP, so you've got a constituency.
Right.
But you're in fucking Libya dealing with stuff, or in Canada.
Right.
So, you know, you sit down in your surgery with
And yeah.
I'm been here. So
Yeah.
where have you been? Oh, I've been in fucking Paris for 3 weeks.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
it's like all these people elected you and you're never there because of the nature of the role.
But they do have people in their office.
Yeah.
So they can take...
But you vote for that person, don't you? You vote for a
But you
person.
want help, don't you? So you will have aides in that office who are probably... maybe a little bit more competent than you.
Hopefully, because they're civil servants and they've been doing the job for
Yeah,
years
so
and years.
they will do your casework for you.
Yeah.
They will sit with people and probably be a bit better.
The actual everyday running of the service, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is civil servants.
And then the MP gives a shout out.
Yeah, yeah.
At the end.
He gets,
Oh, yeah, I've worked really hard on this case. And the
If
person
it's
in the
successful,
back
yeah.
office is like...
yeah, it's actually me. Well, the whole civil service is their career. It's a career, isn't it? You know, so they are the people who run the country.
Yes.
So we elect faces,
Yeah.
but it's actually other people who run the things. I mean, me and you work in the field where we're the actual bottom level hands-on people.
With the minions.
More you than me, but
yeah, because you can just choose a life of luxury and, you know,
swan
around just taking up hobbies.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Leanne, it's been a pleasure.
I can't say the same.
What are you doing later?
Martyn is...
It is later.
10 past 10.
What time's bedtime?
I mean, now.
Oh, fuck off.
I
You
mean-
don't sleep at this time, do you?
Yeah.
Crazy,
I
man.
turn into a pumpkin.
Me and Simon only sort of wake up at this time.
What were you going to do?
I meant to be fixing someone's washing machine, actually.
What, now?
Well, I said about 10. Ingo Simon.
Before we go, there's this one thing. You remember the MP's expenses scandal from nearly... Well, it is from 10 years ago.
Is it?
Yeah. What's it? 2009. Number 16, Happy Book, Ed Balls for Labour MP for Normanton. He claimed $7.99 on a book called Reasons to be Cheerful and £300 on 500 posters of himself.
Do you remember Ed Balls Day? Do you remember that?
No.
He's got Twitter and he didn't know how to use it, right? So he's got quite a lot of followers. This is why Britain is still great. It's a fucking great country. So he's got thousands of followers, right? So somebody gave him, I think the story goes, somebody gave him the phone with control over the Twitter. Didn't know how to use it. So he just wrote Ed Balls and posted it. So Ed Balls' Twitter just all of a sudden comes up with just the word Ed Balls with his name. And to this day, people on Twitter still do Ed Balls Day. So Ed Balls Day will come around and they'll tweet Ed Balls, hashtag Ed Balls. And the guy hasn't even been a minister. He got voted out, didn't he? You know, he lost the election.
He's dancing with the stars now, isn't he? And,
Bonkers.
you know, he's not... His wife's still in, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Cooper.
I think so, yeah.
So...
Right, Leanne, it's been a pleasure.
Why are you shaking?
Is this what we do?
Is it?
Yeah, I'll see you next time.
I don't know if anyone wants to see me next time. I mean...
And we're done. Right, let's fuck off. Thank you.
Are you going...